This video is going to be about 35 minutes, and it's going to be about paying attention to the breath. So the theme this week is to commit. So what are you going to commit to, and can you commit to it fully? So we're going to use both movement and stillness, and the goal is to really commit to paying attention to the breath. So we're going to start seated with a couple minutes of silence to settle your mind. So if your hips are tight, you could sit up on a yoga block or a couple of blankets. I'm sitting up on a blanket so that my knees can drop down below my hips. So just start to pay attention to your inhale and exhale. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Perhaps adding that ocean breath or ujjayi breathing where you constrict the back of your throat. It's like fogging a mirror but with your mouth closed. It's not only physically good for us, strengthening the mind-gut connection through the vagus nerve, but it's also a very good way to be sure that you're paying attention to your breath. If you'd like to make this a dedication, sort of a moving prayer for someone or a group of people, do that now. And then let it go. Before we begin moving, just notice how your body and your mind have reacted in these few moments to stillness. And then we'll begin to move by going to all fours and doing some cat-cow and warming our spine. Just my microphone. Get the blanket out of the way. Spread your fingers wide. Maybe keep the elbows soft on the transitions. And inhale, gently arching. Soften the elbows and exhale, hollow out. Softening the joints in the transitions helps the hips and the shoulders move more easily. Just keep moving with the breath. Inhaling, arch. Exhaling, hollow out. You can always pad your knees. Inhaling, arch. And exhaling, hollow out. And then come on back to neutral. Take your knees a little bit wider. And rock your hips back towards your heels. Just see how that feels for breath. Don't even have to go all the way down. Maybe take your hands a little further forward. Start to get a stretch in the shoulders, under the arms, the side bodies. And then inhale. Bring your shoulders back over your wrists. Your spine should be nice and long. Bring your knees back in line with your hips. Squeeze your elbows in. And exhale your body down to the mat. So we're going to do some gentle back strengtheners, arches. So first you're just going to keep your feet pushing into the mat. And then just reach your fingertips toward your heels. Feel like you're getting longer from your waist through the crown of the head. One more deep inhale and exhale. Put those hands back under your shoulders. Squeeze your elbows in and inhale. Take your hips up and back to another child's pose. This time maybe going all the way in.
Maybe even pushing your hips back towards your heels gently with your hands. And then you're going to walk your hands over to the right and pull your left hip back, getting a nice stretch on the left side of the body. Inhaling through center, exhaling, walk your hands over to the other side, so moving with the breath. Stretching the right side of the body. And then walk your hands back to center. On an inhale, bring your shoulders back over your wrists. Bring your right foot forward, knee right over the ankle in a low lunge. Make sure you're nice and stable, and then bring your hands to your thigh. We're just going to take a gentle twist toward the front leg. So maybe you just hold on to your thigh, keep it pulling toward the midline, and twist. Maybe you want to take your elbow to the outside of the thigh. Inhaling, come on back. We'll go right to the other side, so being mindful of the transitions. Right. So we're going to use 4 poses to move with our breath. Like where my microphone is. To move with our breath and be in stillness. So getting nice and long here before we take the twist to the other side. 2 of them are one-legged balances. You'll want a block or a chair. And 2 of them are forward folds. And in between, exhaling, gently release. Curl your back toe under. We're going to come right to forward fold. Keep the knees a little bit bent. So in between, we'll do some flow and movement. Also connecting to the breath. So here we are in a forward fold. Again, keeping the knees soft, not too much pressure on the low back. A couple of exhales, using them to go a little bit deeper. Then you're going to inhale halfway up, reaching the crown of the head out long. Soften the knees. Sweep the fingertips up and come to standing. And exhale your hands to your heart. Just a couple of basic sun salutations. So releasing the hands, exhale everything out. Inhaling, fingers up. Exhaling, gently folding forward. Knees can be soft. Inhaling, come halfway up. Exhaling, bend the knees. Take the right leg back in high lunge. Take the left leg back to meet it. You can float your knees down if that's helpful. And squeeze the elbows in and exhale down to the mat. So keeping your hands right where they are. Push your feet into the mat again and inhale gently, cobra. Back bend, exhale, forehead to the mat. Squeeze your elbows in, lift your hips first. Curl your toes under and come right to down dog. Soften the knees. Take one more breath. Then inhale, look at your thumbs. Exhale, soften your knees and walk yourself back to another forward fold. Then inhale, halfway up, fingers under the knees, crown of the head reaching out long. Fold again. Then this time, reverse your dive, taking the arms way out to the side, coming up with a flat back. And exhaling your hands to your heart. Do the same thing on the other side, so releasing the hand, exhale. Inhale your arms up, softening the knees, folding forward from the hips. Inhale, halfway up. Then bend the knees and take the left leg back in high lunge, right knee right over the ankle. Then bring the right leg back to meet it, knees or toes. Exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling, just move with your breath, cobra, back bend. Exhaling, release that. Reverse your push-up. And take a downward facing dog in one breath. Then inhale, lift your thumbs. Exhale, walk yourself into forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhaling, bend the knees. Reverse your dive, inhaling, arms to the sky. And exhaling, hands to the heart. So our first opportunity to tune into our breath in a one-legged balance. You're going to shift your weight into your left leg. You could always go to the wall or hold on to a chair. So better to get on one leg and hold on to something. So foot could be pushing into the calf, or you could bring it up above the knee. Just no weight in the knee. Find your focal point, one point to set your eyes on, and then come back to the breath. As you continue to attend to your breath, maybe taking your arms to the sky. One more breath. And exhaling, gently release. So as you cultivate your own home practice, working on attending to the breath through stillness with at least 3 to 5 breaths in each pose. So you're going to go to the other side. Use your focus. Come back to your breath. Get longer. Maybe your breath even gets longer. And we gently release. Good. We're going to do a sun salutation with a warrior 2. So releasing your hands. Inhaling, arms to the sky. You should be at the front of your mat. Exhaling, fold. I've changed ends so that I don't have my back to you. Inhaling, come halfway up. Fingers under the knees. Exhaling, bend the knees. Take the right leg way back in high lunge. Left knee right over the left ankle. And then turn your right heel down and in. We've got heel to arch alignment right down the middle of the mat. We bring our shoulders back over our hips. And then bend the front knee right over the middle toes. Pushing toward the back side of the body. Gaze over your left middle finger. Push into the outer edge of your right foot, the pinky toe side, and just breathe. Noticing your reaction to stillness, and then releasing back to a high lunge so that we can finish our flow. Coming to the top of a push-up, either knees or toes. Exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra back bend. Exhaling, release that. Squeeze your elbows in. Inhaling, up and back to down dog, and take a breath. You're going to inhale your right leg up in the air to come to a high lunge so that we can bring ourselves all the way to half forward fold. So here's your inhale. Plant your left foot by your right. Extend the legs and the spine. Exhale, fold like a rag doll. Soften the knees. Take your arms out wide. Coming up to standing. And exhale your hands to your heart. Do the same thing on the other side. So inhaling, arms up. Breathing and moving, exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhaling, bend the knees, left leg back in high lunge. Turn the heel down and in. for warrior two. Heel to arch alignment. See your big toe and settle in. One more inhale and exhale. Then adjust your stance so you can come back to high lunge safely, being mindful of the transitions. And then come to the top of your push-up, hands or toes or knees, exhaling chaturanga, inhaling cobra, exhaling, release the back bend, squeeze the elbows in, coming up and back to down dog, and take a breath. And left leg to the ceiling so that you can bring it to high lunge, knee over the ankle. Our next inhale, we go all the way to half forward fold. Extend the legs, extend the spine. Softening on your exhale. Come on back up to standing. And hands to your heart. And our next standing pose, one-legged balance, is going to be standing half moon. So you could even have a chair if you want to get a little bit higher. We're going to start on the right, take a big wide straddle. So I'm a little bit pigeon-toed here. And then I'm going to turn my right foot out. Same alignment as warrior two. I'm going to soften my knees, tilt my hips toward my front leg. So my block is slightly forward of that foot. I'm going to fold toward my shin. I'm going to bend that front knee. I'm going to keep my chest open. I'm going to start to scoot my body weight onto that right foot. Maybe taking the block a little further out. So that when I inhale, it's right under my shoulder and I'm going to lift my back leg. Push out through your heel that's in the air. And come back to your breath. Pull your belly in. It's okay if you need to come out of it or you fall out of it. Just try again. Then bend that front knee and come back safely. Right back to warrior two. Inhaling, release, straighten both legs. And we're going to go right to the other side. Turn my left toes out. Place that block forward of my foot. It's a really challenging pose. It's a great way to commit your focus and your breath. So soften that front knee. Load the body weight onto that leg. Use your focal point. Scoot your back foot in. Open up your chest and breathe. Bend that front knee. Come on back to warrior two safely. Inhaling, extend the leg and turn the toes in. Take a breath. Well done. So it's a super challenging pose. Takes practice, and that's all that is. This is a practice, right? So inhale, get really, really tall. And on exhale, you're just going to fold yourself forward. Again, feet are a little bit pigeon-toed. Maybe you grab that block if your hamstrings are tight. Just soften the knees and extend and soften and extend. One more time, softening and extending. And then allow your body to fold forward as much as is safe for you. So maybe even holding the outside of the feet. Then come on up to standing. We're going to soften those knees, reach the crown of the head out long, coming up with a flat back. Spread the sitting bones wide, and then heel toe your way in. We're going to do one more set of sun salutations. So come back to the front of your mat. Exhale. Everything out. Maybe take a moment to check in with your body. Just notice how it feels. Notice the energy. Try and relax the tight places. Then inhaling, arms up. And exhaling, softening, fold. Inhaling, halfway up. Exhaling, you're just going to hop or step back to the top of a push-up. Take your chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra. Exhaling, forehead to the mat, releasing that back bend. Squeeze your elbows in, come on back up. And exhale, down dog. Take a breath. Good. Inhaling, look at your thumbs. Exhale, walk your feet in to meet your hands. So this time, soften the knees, sitting down into that chair pose. Drop your hips. Lift your sternum. Take your fingertips forward. Come on, back up to standing. And exhale your hands to your heart. We're going to do that one more time. Inhale. Exhale, release your hands. Inhale, get really tall. Exhaling, soften the knees, dive forward. Inhale, halfway up. Exhaling, bend the knees, hop or step yourself back to the top of a push-up. Chaturanga. Inhaling, cobra, back bend, push your feet into the mat. Exhaling, release that. Inhaling, reverse your push-up. And exhale, down dog, and take a breath. Next, inhale, get really, really long. And then exhale, slowly soften your knees. Drop them to the mat. And come to a child's pose. Notice if this one feels any differently than the first. One more deep exhale here. And then on an inhale, bring yourself up to all fours so that you can drop your hips. I've got my feet out to the left. We're just going to do one gentle twist. Inhale, get really, really tall. Exhaling, twisting away from your feet. So if you'd like to get more of a chest stretch, a little bit of a back bend, you could take your hand and stick it behind you. Both hands behind you, lifting your chest. Keep the hips heavy. Lower abdominals pulled in. And on an exhale, gently release. Just swing your feet around to the other side. Inhale, get tall and twist away from your feet. And maybe go a little deeper. And then exhaling, gently release. So our first focus forward fold is going to be Janu Sirsasana. So you can have a yoga strap or a necktie if your hamstrings are tight. You could also sit up on a block or a blanket. You want to make sure that your pelvis is perpendicular. So if you find yourself rounding your low back, trying to get forward this way, get a block or a blanket or a low stool, something to sit on so that you can get your pelvis upright. Got my left foot on my inner right thigh. You're going to draw your right toes back toward your knee and gently twist your ribs toward that extended leg. So maybe you take the tie and put it around the ball of your foot. Keep this left side relaxed. Keep the spine long from the hips all the way out through the crown of the head. Deepening the fold, maybe deepening the twist. Maybe you can get a hold of the outside of your foot. Wherever you are, just follow your breath. Use that Ujjayi breathing. Three more breaths. And then exhaling very slowly and gently. Inhale, bring yourself back over. Shoulders over the hips. Just going to gently take a counter twist. And then we'll go to the other side. So stretch that left leg out. Maybe give your legs a little shake. Maybe recalling that dedication, if you made one, and then get really, really tall, twisting your ribcage toward that extended leg. Really taking your time. Every exhale allowing us to soften. More deep breaths. You can do this. Just be fully present. Commit to your breath. Pull your low belly in. Slowly bringing yourself back up, shoulders over the hips, and take that easy counter twist away from the extended leg. And gently release. So before we go into our last pose, practicing stillness, which is going to be pigeon pose, we're going to do just a couple of little mini flows. So I got my hands about one hand length forward of my shoulders so that when I extend forward, my spine is long. Exhaling, chaturanga. Push your feet into the mat. Inhaling, gentle cobra. Right counter pose to that forward fold. Exhaling, release. Squeeze your elbows in. Inhaling on all fours. And exhaling back to child's pose. One more time. Reach your arms way far out. Inhaling, shoulders over the wrists. Exhaling, chaturanga. Push your feet into the mat. Inhaling, easy cobra. Exhaling, forehead to the mat. Squeeze your elbows in. Inhaling, lift your hips up and back. Exhaling, child's pose. And take 3 deep breaths. Inhaling, come out back up to all fours. So this is going to be pigeon pose on our legs. If your knees bother you, I'm going to show you right now how to modify this. So you would roll onto your back, put your right ankle over your left thigh, and this is the pose. So your legs are like a number 4, and the goal is to stretch the outer right hip. If you want to stay on your legs, we're going to come to all fours. You're going to bring your right knee outside the right wrist. And then scoot that shin forward, being mindful of the knee, right? Keep your toes ballerina pointed so that your knee and your shin stay in line, and then walk your left leg way back. Keeping the body weight right down the midline of the body. Get long. And then exhale, folding forward. So if your hips are tight, you could take a block and tuck it under your hip for some support. You could use the block to rest your forehead. Settle in. Don't go too deeply, too quickly. You shouldn't be screaming to get out of the pose. Just very gently using your exhales. Try and keep your shoulders and your neck soft. This is a terrific pose to practice being still in the midst of the challenge. Let go where you can. One more deep breath. Then slowly and gently push yourself back up, get long. And then shift your weight onto that right hip. Stretch your legs out in front of you, give them a shake. And we'll go to the other side. So again, lay on your back, cross your left ankle over your thigh if that's helpful. Otherwise, you're going to bring your left knee right outside your wrist. Scoot that shin forward. The more you have your shin forward, the more of a stretch it's going to be. Support your hip if you need. Walk that right leg way back and get long. And then keeping that spine extended, folding forward and settling in. Use that Ujjayi breathing. Committing to these last few breaths. Gently inhaling, lengthening your spine again, bringing your shoulders over your hips, and exhaling, gently release. Swing your legs around so that you can lay down for the most important pose of all, Shavasana. They say it's also the hardest. It's a practice. Gently keeping your knees bent if it bothers your low back to be stretched out, or stretching your legs out. Tuck your shoulder blades together, let your toes flap open. So we follow our breath only as long as we need to let it go and be completely present. So in these next few breaths, check in with your body and release any tension, sending the exhale to any place that feels tight or congested. Maybe having committed to your breath, to the movement, and to the stillness on your mat, naming to yourself what it is you want to commit to off the mat. And then make some small motions with your fingers and your toes, taking 4 or 5 breaths. Stretch yourself out, coming up to seated safely. Try keeping your eyes closed. Sitting up really tall. A few breaths of stillness to notice how your body and your mind attend to it now. On an inhale, bring your hands to your heart center. When we were raising our children, and we had a saying that I loved was, what goes into a mind comes out in a life. I think that what goes into your yoga practice comes out in your life. Give yourself a mental pat on the back for showing up. The spirit in me honors the spirit in you. Godspeed.